Here we go.
Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a coffee talk. Welcome, guys. What is today? The 14th of January,
Yeah.
24. Good morning, Pilgrim.
Good morning, Guido, and good morning, the North American server, and colonials, and Euros, and Brits, and any hangers on from Asia and Australia, and all the rest of it. Cup of Royal Blend in a Pilgrim mug, as usual.
Excellent, excellent. And I have a Sumatra. A Sumatra,
Oh, very nice.
nice
Very
dark,
nice.
with plenty of creamer in it, because that's how I like it.
Kickstart the morning.
Yep.
I was reading about caffeine, and there's as much caffeine in tea as there is in coffee, so they say. But the trick with caffeine is to not get the afternoon lag. You know when you've had that caffeine buzz all morning.
So
and
just
then
drink
by
caffeine
about-
all day.
Well, you could do that. That would work.
No, no.
That
Okay,
would
sorry.
work.
Okay, go ahead.
But apparently, the trick is your neural receptors that are particularly sensitive to caffeine. If you leave it an hour when you get up in the morning before you drink coffee, and allow your body to get the wake up stuff going on in its brain, all the chemicals. If you leave it now and then have your coffee, you avoid the 3 o'clock slump because your brain doesn't, your brain does all the things it needs to do before the caffeine kicks in.
You know what? I sort of fell into that just on accident when I started getting up, taking the dog for a walk, and then doing my
Yeah.
workout. It was about an hour,
Yeah,
sometimes hour and a half before I finally had my first cup. Because the idea was I'd get up, take the dog, come back in,
yeah.
get a little workout, and then the prize, I guess, the reward was a nice cup of coffee, and that was what I looked forward to. Was starting up the. I wonder.
That's
'Cause-
cool. Do you
'cause-
do you not get the 3 o'clock slump? If you,
I don't
from
think
the-
so. That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking about. I mean, I like this morning. I got up and started downing,
Yeah.
gallons of coffee immediately. So it's not a perfect system.
No.
I'm gonna have to
But
have.
apparently, that's the way to do it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to have a think on that, man. That's actually pretty cool. Good morning, everybody. Stickler, Gator, Kedge, Sasquatch. Who else is in here? Fast Red Horse, Odd Dog. Good morning, everybody. Well, we were just discussing our week. What were we talking about right before we came in?
What we were talking about is the miserable, sodding week of World of Tanks that hates me personally game that we play because I've had the worst. I've lost about 2 percentage points, and
Yeah.
I have had about the worst week I have had in since I started 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Abysmal, but all on the EU account. To be fair, I've not played anything. I played a few games on NA, but generally on the EU account, that run of 12 wins and then 8 out of 10 the following day has come back and bit my arse significantly quite hard. and it's not me. It's everybody else in the team.
It is
It's
everybody else.
who
It's
deploys in the
never-
wrong place and YOLOs.
It's
never
never,
me.
never you, never.
Absolute nightmare.
Mine's-
Just about turned it round this morning, Guido.
Mine's turned around in the last 7 days. I'm like over 70% win rate for some reason.
Right, good. Any real notion about why?
No,
No, it's just the way it is.
probably because I play Artie now.
Yeah, you do.
Probably because I'm an Artie player. Good morning, old brute. What's up, man?
yeah. Yeah.
It's because I play Artie. So it's cold here. We discussed this a little bit. Somebody said they're -5 in central Illinois. Is that how you say it, Stickler? Is it Illinois? I believe that's correct. If you're from Illinois, you love that. You love the Illinois. No S? Oh.
No S in Illinois.
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 Illinois. Lot ratings coming up. But win rate is in
rate's
free fall.
fall.
It's 12 in Dallas. That's too cold.
Wow.
Bonzi, thanks for the sub, man. 40.
Dallas doesn't get that cold ever.
It does today. Was it last year or 2 years ago, guys, when Texas had that big freeze and pipes were
Really?
bursting and people were freaking out and the power grid went down because they're all about the green energy thing and they don't have enough energy, enough electrical plants. Man,
I'm flabbergasted. I really am. I thought like places like where Obrut is as well, Colorado, Texas, all that sort of, that I want to call it the Midwest. I guess it isn't the Midwest, but that's what I'm calling it.
Kind of is, kind of. I don't.
Is-
Texas.
I just thought that was like the heat belt of the United States.
It is. It is, but it does get cold in northern Texas, and it can creep down.
Okay.
It can creep down to the middle of Texas, especially with the weather like this. I think I'm gonna have to think about this. Texas is kind of strange because you got the eastern seaboard, you got the South, which is where I am.
Yeah.
You have the Midwest, and then you have the West and the Southwest. These are all kind of, and the Northwest, I guess. They're all kind of. Texas, I believe, considers themselves Texas.
Yes.
Right?
It's
They're not
just Texas. There's no location.
They're not
for it.
really. But what's funny is it's so big. It actually is on like 3 sections of 3. So it's the northern part's got some Midwest stuff.
Yeah.
The eastern part is the South. I mean, Houston is pretty much the South. Then you've got the Southwest is El Paso, South. You know, and then you got your own kind of special area down by San Antonio and Dallas. That's like core Texas. You know.
Yeah, that's proper Texas. That's Daniel Boone, Texas, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I think, I mean, there may be some Texans here who consider it differently, but I think they basically consider themselves their own region.
I think they are. I think Texas is Texas not the biggest state in the United States, apart from Alaska, I guess. But
Alaska's the biggest. Texas is too.
Yeah. Because I always see Texas quoted whenever people say about the size of the United Kingdom or any part of the European continent. It's always compared to Texas. Yeah, you could get 3 United Kingdoms in Texas. Oh, can you?
I think you can get a significant amount of Europe in Texas.
In Texas, yeah.
From my understanding.
from the Baltic coast all the way to France can fit into Texas.
We've talked about that before, you know, especially from Europeans laughing at Americans at how they don't travel. I'm like, brother.
Yeah, we travel.
I mean, you go to a different state, you've essentially gone from, you know, Belgium to the Netherlands. It's a it's a different place, my friends. Different place.
I mean, my couple of times I've been there, I still can't get my head around. I mean, you guys don't think anything of jumping in your car and driving 6 hours just to get a bag of groceries. You know, I just it does not. Yeah, I mean,
I mean, some
I don't
people
say you do it every day, but
some people live out in the sticks. Yeah, they've got to drive hours just to get to a proper grocery store.
You're like, good grief! I mean, you know, and it's like, I'm just gonna pop. I mean, we call it the shops, and you guys call it the mall, don't you, or the mall, or whatever. I'm just gonna pop down the shops. I'll see you tomorrow. Really?
5 hours out and 5 hours. Yeah, there are some places. There are some places that remote, especially obviously in Alaska, but even in the contiguous 48, there are some places that are remote enough that you will drive 2 or 3 hours to get to it.
Gosh, I just can't get my head around it. I mean, I love it. I mean, Canada's very similar as well. Canada's, especially Western Canada, is like, you know, big open spaces. When I was at Wainwright or Alberta, I mean, basically, Wainwright is about 20 miles from the camp, and you'd order a pizza and you'd wait like an hour for your pizza to get delivered. You're like, all right, Keith.
Yep.
I don't know. It's cool, though.
Guys are talking about the game. We had 2 big football games yesterday. The wild card. So this is the wild card, the early part of the playoffs. The 8 lowest seeds will play, and 4 of them will come out of it. But the Dolphins, who are in Miami,
what does 04 then do? Do they then play each other?
They move into the rest of the playoffs. They just continue.
Okay, so it's like the semi-finals.
Yeah, the top 8 or 4 or 6 or whatever the hell it is, they all have a bye this week, meaning they don't play. So the wild cards will have to play into the rest of the playoff. Okay. But Miami, who the Dolphins, who I'm wearing my Dolphin shirt, but it is in mourning because they're now out of the playoffs. So
sorry to hear that.
They went to Kansas City and it was -4 or 7 or whatever.
It was cold.
Oh yeah, -7 Fahrenheit, whatever that is in C.
I can't get my head around it, Guido, because all right, Kansas to me was Tornado Alley, but cold, crikey, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
no
You
winter.
guys are getting some weird weather.
Yeah, it's brutal. It is absolutely brutal.
And then when you're wearing lycra and you're running around on a football pitch, I guess it gets a little bit cold, does it?
Yep.
Stop wearing lycra then.
Yep.
Or do what we do in rugby. Cover your body in Vaseline. That keeps the heat in and stops the opposing team being able to get hold of you.
It's minus 21 Celsius. That's what minus
Wow.
7 is.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Minus 21. That is like Arctic conditions.
It is, yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was a, and the guys are complaining too. I don't know if you noticed that, but there's a
Peacock.
yeah, it's a streaming service, like HBO Max and Netflix and Hulu and all these streaming services. Peacock is
Sure.
NBC's version of it. One of our national broadcasters, they have a version of that. The big controversy is that they put one of the games, that Chiefs and Dolphins game, they put it on a pay service.
Really?
Yeah, which pissed everybody off.
Of course it does. I mean, I think all major sports should be free. I don't think you should pay to watch any major sport because you can't always get to the ground. You can't always get to the stadium. You can't always get to see your team. But say you want to watch it on the big screen.
So
I think it should be free.
Here's my opinion on that. I'm not bothered by that if they didn't get a bunch of our tax money for building their damn stadiums and shit.
Really? Oh, okay. So it's not
So
even sponsorship,
pick
is
one,
it?
dude. Either you're a private company and you spend and whatever. Why am I subsidizing dudes with $700 million contracts? Because why am I helping you build a frickin' $2 billion stadium or whatever it is with tax money and deferments? And they're like, oh, well, we're not giving tax money. They're just getting deferments. Okay, well, that's money that has to be made up somewhere else, bro.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
don't play that stupid game with me.
Yeah.
If
Because
it's,
sponsorship brings in absolute millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars.
well, that's their argument, right? They sell it by, it increases the economy around the area and all that. Like, fine, let it. Why am I paying for that? If it's so good, let it stand on its own legs, man.
Yeah.
But
No, absolutely.
so then we get into this whole game of, okay, now they're gonna. So not only are they gonna soak the taxpayer a bit for their frickin' stadiums, then they're gonna make you pay to watch the game.
That is just criminal. I really don't like that. They've done it over here obviously with soccer. I mean, I don't watch a lot of soccer anyway. I'm a Liverpool Football Club supporter purely because of my location of birth.
Right.
And I used to go to the ground religiously until I was about 15 or 16. But so I'm more of a rugby player. Coming on to rugby, actually, yes, Kedge. I was a hooker. There you go. I would have had to be a hooker, wouldn't I? I was a hooker. So I was the guy who used to hook the ball in the scrum. Hence the broken nose and everything. You know what I mean? Anyway, but yeah, so, and then rugby sort of followed suit. Because rugby was an amateur sport for a long, long time. It wasn't professional. And when it became professional, it all became pay for this and pay for everything.
Can you spell that position for me?
Hooker?
Yeah.
Hotel Oscar Kilo Echo Romeo, exactly like the hooker at Lime Street Station.
That's what I thought you said.
Yep.
Pilgrim has revealed that he was a hooker.
I was a hooker back in the day. And hookers did two things. I don't
want to know what.
Well, yes. You don't need to know what a hooker does.
Hey, O'Brute played hooker as well.
Well, they are.
Hey, in America.
See, O'Brute can do the calls with me. We had some real good calls back in the day. I mean, they were very political and very religious calls. Oh, calls.
Songs
like
or calls?
Pardon?
What is that? Calls? C-A-L?
Right. When the hooker has two jobs. In the scrum, he's there to hook the ball back to the
hike it,
rope,
like move it backwards. Okay.
Yeah, with your feet. So basically, you've got to be small like me,
Yeah.
because you hang on your props. You're on your prop forwards. You hang on them, and you sort of legs dangling. So you've got your head down, you're dangling, and you've got to hook that ball back to your second row. And the second row then feed it back to.
You're not actually on the ground.
Yeah, you're on the. Yeah, we know when you get into a scrum. You've seen the scrums, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually am touching the ground, but
Oh.
we made a joke because I was small. I'd have my legs dangling in the
So you're like the Flintstone guy, just your
Yeah.
legs are going? Okay.
trying to hook the ball, and at the same time bite the ear of the opposing hookers to put him off. You know what I mean? You got
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly,
chew his ear. Yeah.
you do want to chew the hooker's ear. That's part of the
You do need to chew
That's
a hooker's
part
ear.
of the deal.
That's the deal. And then Brute kicking people. Yeah, you dangle and hold balls. Sold out, you do. And then the second job a hooker does is the calls for the line-outs. So when you see it's in soccer, they've had throw-ins.
Yeah.
Right? They throw the ball.
Yeah, yeah.
In rugby, you have line-outs. So the two teams oppose each other. Normally, it's your forwards, and you have a number of people, and you have a system worked out which person you as the hooker on the line are going to throw the ball out to. So it'd be a numerical or alphabetical system.
You're out of bounds throwing it into your own team.
Yeah, I'm throwing it
Okay.
from out of bounds into play.
Like a
And you've
football
got
pass.
Two lines of pardon?
Like a overhand football pass?
Like an overhand pass. So
Oh,
you're holding
okay.
the ball like this.
Yeah.
So you've got the ball like this,
Yep.
and you're just gonna put it out. But so you've got two opposing lines. So you've got your team, your forwards, maybe 4, 5, 6 of them, depending on how they want to do it, and the opposing forwards on the opposites. So they're facing each other like this,
All right.
and it's a line from out of bounds into the pitch like that. So you stand there in between the two, and you put a call out, and that tells your team which person you're going to throw
Which
it
guy,
to.
yeah.
Yeah, and they then operate. You know, it's all a system. Well,
Right, they move in a certain
calls.
way or whatever. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we had one. I'm not sure I can say it actually. I won't say it because I'll tell you afterwards. What we had one that was very religious. Whenever we played the Irish, in any shape or form, we had a religious one which I used all the time, and they hated it. The Irish, but we'll go into it after.
Something
stream,
about
I
the
guess.
Pope, I'm imagining.
Definitely about the Pope. Yeah.
Copy.
Yep.
Copy. Not the Northern
you know-
Irish, but the other ones. The Irish
No,
Irish.
the other ones.
The Irish Irish.
The Fenians.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was my job, effectively, and then just run around like a silly bugger, getting more. I tell you what I did, and I actually bounced off this guy. Right, it stopped the game. I mean, I've always been 5 foot something, 5'6", I think is the tallest I've ever been. I've shrunk a bit now, and there's this Man Mountain, which it was an army game, and we played the Royal Signals, and I had the ball as a hooker, and I was piling forward, and I was running like all the way down through the centre, running like mad. This Man Mountain was in front of me, and I just went into it, and I went, and I bounced back about 4 feet on my back like this. Just completely knocked out, and everybody was the game stopped. They just laughing so much, and just seeing me bounce back off this meat mountain. You know what I mean?
Oh, man.
So it's all good fun.
All right. Let's see. What do we got? Channel news. Still working the 100 Battle Challenge. I do have a couple of Japanese tanks. We'll talk about those a little while later. I don't think I've finished anything. I am doing some DCS, though. So I put a video out yesterday. Quite a long one. I'll work on making it a little bit shorter. Just consider it more of a podcast than anything. Once I got started talking, I just had so much content. I'm like, I could make 2 or 3 videos of this. I'm like, screw it. Just string it all together. And you guys, I put chapters on it. So if you want to look at specific stuff. Brute was there. We did some BFM messing around yesterday. Go ahead.
I like you when you're talking about breaking it down. I like the fact that you took it from takeoff all the way through to doing the whole
BFM,
combat thing. BFM. But yeah, if you break it down, I like the instructional part of you taking off and the bit of fun you had with was it Brute with your wingman when you had your flaps down?
Yeah.
Or not stump. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I quite like that because I've tried it. You know I've tried it, and I can get the SU. I had the SU because it came free with the other thing, and I managed to get it off the ground, but I could never get it back down again. I could get it up in the air, and then whatever happened, I try and land. I'd land upside down, all sorts of nonsense. You know what I mean? So when you do it, it'd be nice to have that broken down. So when you come to the landing bit, break it down on how you're doing.
Oh yeah, I can do that. Yeah, we can talk about that. So yesterday, I've been flying on the Hoggett server, and that's a PvE server. Humans on one side and AI on the other. Been around for a long, long time. got a lot of missions and stuff. There's a lot of bomb dropping and things going on with that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I talked about this last week, but I taught myself how to drop bombs with the F-16, just dumb bombs so far. But anyway, yesterday I'm doing the Hoggett thing, and I do one sortie, and there's a bunch of rubber banding and shit, and then the server resets. When I come back, and this will be more interesting to Stump than, well, it might be interesting to everybody, but Stump for sure. There was a guy on there acting like ATC. He was acting like Tower and all that stuff.
Okay.
Not acting like he was doing it. So no kidding, man. Start up, talk to Tower. He gives me taxi instructions, taxi out, hold short. He's trying to sequence people. It's kind of funny though because it's Hoggett. So every once in a while you get someone who's not talking who just gets on the runway and takes off. He's like, aircraft on the runway. You know, you're not clear for takeoff. It was kind of funny, but a lot of guys were going along with it, you know, because it's good with the immersion. So it's pretty cool. So I do.
This is a guy who's took it on himself to do it, or it's part of.
Yeah, man. He's not even in an airplane, dude. He's just.
Oh wow.
He's got the
See,
low
I could do
tack.
that.
Yeah, he's got the low tack overview. There's another third party software called Low Tack was initially built for ATC for controllers to control in DCS or any other simulator that it will hook up to, and I believe it hooks up to multiples like Microsoft and all the others.
Yeah.
And he's no kidding talking it, doing now he was clearly an ATC guy. I could tell he was an American
because he knew the terminology.
Yeah, and he could have been Canadian, but he was either Canadian or American. Definitely knew what he was talking about, and as soon as we started talking, it was the lingo was going. I mean, we inherently understood one was a pilot, one was a controller. Yeah, and it was really cool.
That's good for immersion, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. But there's always the braking stuff, right? So I take off, I climb out, get my gear and flaps up this time. Okay, that's good. I've got. Yeah. I am cheating, but not cheating. The 15C does not have a sit mode, so it doesn't have the SA that a 15 would really have. 15C would really have. They do have a GCI, a web GCI on the Hoggett website, so I have that called up, so I can look up and go, all right, here's where everybody is. So that's better than my sit mode would be, but at least I have something, so I don't. So I see the bad airplanes. I'm getting up, getting high, getting ready to shoot a couple AMRAAMs, and then all of a sudden the nose just drops. Oh. And so now I got a dead stick. I'm like, oh, for frick's sake. So I'm like,
As in real life dead stick or...
Well, real life in the sim. My stupid stick just stopped working.
Oh, okay, got you. Okay.
Because computers, right? It's who the hell knows why, Yeah. An update, Windows said no, it forgot it was there, the cable got knocked, or I don't know. So I'm just like, shit. So I hit the ground and explode. I'm like, that's great. But I forgot that there's actually still keybinds on the keyboard. I could have actually lifted the nose up and maybe troubleshot it. Maybe unplugged it and replugged it in. What's the J key do? Eject?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude. It was just like, come on, man. By that. And so then naturally, when you have something like that happen, you start Google Foo. And then I find all these, my WinWing controls randomly disconnect all the time. I'm like, oh, for frick's sake, here we go with another rabbit hole I have to deal with.
Is it worth buying or you've got an old computer, just using that, clear it all out and just use it for DCS as opposed to your other gaming computer?
Yeah, I mean, if you can afford another 4090 to run that. I mean, if you...
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, sure.
Yeah, I mean...
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I had an emergency. I had an actual EP, and I suppose I could consider it that, right? I had an emergency procedure in the air. I should have ejected. So that was a pain. And then for some reason, on both my takeoffs, and I don't even think I did anything that bad because the crosswinds weren't bad. Everything was normal. All three of my tires blew.
Really?
Yeah, and I wasn't sliding sideways.
Is that a thing? Does that happen?
I don't know why, dude. I don't know. Like I've played the F-15C. I've flown it multiple times on DCS, and if I do a really hard landing or really screw up sliding sideways, then that makes sense. But none of that happened. I start off and I get to about 80, 90 knots and I go. I'm like, what? Take off. The first time I didn't realize what happened until I landed. And I had all kinds of noise, and I went F2 to look outside. I'm on 3 blown tires. I'm like, I did not land that hard. Second time, I let the gear down and looked out. I'm like, well, they're all blown on tape. How the hell does that happen?
That is madness in itself, isn't it? I mean, Google. Oh, right, okay.
Well, I don't know because that same day, the other story from that day is there was a lot of rubber banding. I finally got airborne again. I lock a guy up, and I shoot, and then the TD container, which says where he is on the radar. I mean, I'm pointing right at him, and then it just disappears. And I look down, and like my radar lock is now over here. I'm like, oh, that's weird. All right, so I pull him back into the hood because it's a Frogfoot and he doesn't have any long range missiles. So I'm like, well, where's my missile? I fire again, and he goes, whook. I'm like, oh shit. So
you just love it.
That's just online shit, right? I mean, online stuff. It just whatever it happens,
Yeah. But I mean, it's all challenges, isn't it? I mean, it's like exactly the same with World of Tanks when it rubber bands, or when your computer lags and you start to stutter across the map. It just basically what I do with that is just press forward and leave it to go, and then I get the spotting for it. Then that's fine.
Yeah. So I just gave up at that point. Like, all right, just the rubber banding makes it unplayable for me since I'm not dropping bombs or whatever. But it was cool.
You got a local server? Is that what's it called?
I don't know where the hog is. I don't know where it is physically. It's in the end.
Is there all the other ones then? There must be other ones.
I had a good ping. It was an 80 ping. So it was just some kind of server issue. It wasn't a ping issue.
Right.
So
are there other servers?
There are. I need to look into them. It's just I'm more familiar with Hoggit because I've done that.
Okay.
And it's like all these big PvE servers. They have certain rules and there's frequencies you have to be on, and it takes a little bit of research to get in there. And a lot of times they're not bothered. I mean, if you just take off and fly and do whatever, they don't give a crap. But it's better to sort of understand what's going on and be on the right freak and do all that stuff. So I need to dig around a little bit more and kind of figure it out. So, all right, anyway, that's channel news stuff. So I do have one relatively big announcement, which I teased on the stream the other day, but just for everyone's information, I have left the CC program for Wargaming. Sort of. I am now a CA, which is the lowest level and doesn't carry an NDA, which allows me to pick and choose. They don't give you as much stuff. There are opportunities potentially, but if you do it... So, this is all crap I've talked about. The bottom line here is that they started treating us more like employees than independent contractors.
Yeah.
And I guess the independent contractor is not even the best thing because they don't pay me. So it was always a good symbiotic relationship until about last year, and then it just continued to be worse and worse. So I ended up leaving the program because I don't want to fill in spreadsheets for people whose job it is to fill in fucking spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing that. And I know I mentioned that. And of course I went back on that a couple times. I did it a couple times just to see what the process was. And because frankly I wanted to get the stuff and do the content. So there you go.
Yeah.
And so let's not pretend I'm the white knight here because I stuck around to get the Christmas stuff, the boxes.
Okay.
But I did do the things that they required for that to be done. I created the content.
Yeah.
Even though they wouldn't say they require that, I did fill in their spreadsheet and put all the numbers down as they requested, which is their process for getting those things. That's a known thing, so I'm not saying I didn't know it. Yeah. But after all that was done, and kind of bringing this up a couple times and not getting any real response, I just said, you know what, I'm done with this. So I'm just, I talked to one of the, I'm not going to throw any names around there. A good number of them are great people. I really enjoyed working with them, and still do because I'm still, technically a community ambassador, which is the low level part. Working with them has been great. I didn't have any issues with most of them. And again, I'm not going to bring up names because there's no point in that.
Well, no, Guido, in a group of people, you're not going to get on with everybody, no matter how hard you try. So if you've got 25 people, you're guaranteed that you're just going to tolerate some of them, or even one or two, aren't you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's always been true. There's been people, and I know that. I'm not even worried about that. The problem for me was, in the past, the system that was set up was fantastic. And I created content with everything they ever gave me, minus all the skins and stuff, which I don't care that much about. And even with those, I occasionally made content. But every tank they ever gave me, every event they ever gave me access to, every Christmas box event, everything, I created content for every single one of those. I put content out every day for World of Tanks. Problem is, some people were riding along not doing anything. And so they decided to make a system where they could prove people were doing something. So one person shit their pants and the rest of us were wearing diapers. You know what I mean? And then they consolidated.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then they consolidated and they needed to prove their worth, which I get. And so then they needed to start pulling in more numbers and make a frickin' report to the boss and do a PowerPoint slide and prove that they increased something by 97.2%, best in class, whatever the hell they're doing with all of it. Shit I've dealt with my entire career, and I am not going to be their biatch.
No, absolutely.
That is not happening, man. It is not happening.
On you, mate.
So
on you, mate.
There are people who will be happy to do that. They'll continue, and that's great. Good on them. You know, if they got the time and want to do that.
Yeah.
But
it's also the inclination. I mean, you know, first of all, in my opinion, just my opinion, first of all, they're getting free labour off you. And then to stipulate conditions over and above the conditions that you've already sat down and agreed on, because they need to justify why they've got, or they want CCs to justify why they exist. Well, do you know what? I'm using my time to do this, and now you're putting on me to do this other crap that I don't get paid for, which I wouldn't do if I was being paid for. Let's put it that way.
Well, it's interesting because it's not egregious. And it doesn't.
No.
You know, this is how stuff like this starts, though. It's always you've seen this a million times, both in your civilian jobs and with big companies or even moderate-sized companies. Not so much with small ones, and with big organizations like militaries. It's always somebody the idea fairy shows up, and somebody at a higher echelon has an idea for efficiencies.
Yeah.
Which translates almost every time to, hey, we're going to stop doing stuff, and then all of a sudden the stuff gets shoved down a level.
Yeah.
Right? Or the good idea fairy, in order for the good idea fairy to meet his goals, he has to shove more work down to somebody else. Yeah. And it's always sold with, well, it's not that big of a deal. It's it's just this little thing. Yeah. Well, that's where it starts. It always mission creeps out into some big pain in the rear. And every little thing that you leverage on somebody in their life, every little thing they have to do is another chunk of their time that could be spent doing something else. So people have to make a decision on which of those things they want to do.
Yeah.
And whether it's worth it to them. Yeah. And while I could probably justify this and go, well, I can do this, and because it's still worth it became a situation where it wasn't anymore. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And that's not in material senses. It's not worth it by monetary. It's not worth it because it's valuable time they're taking away from you enjoying yourself on the game or whatever it might be. Yeah. And also the amount of effort that you need to put in just to maintain the status quo with wargaming. I get it, totally. It's not, as you say, it's not a big stick on wargaming or anything like that. It's just we're all individuals, and I'm very much like you. I would just say, well, for me, it started off as fun, and now it's no longer fun. I don't want anything to do with it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. There's also the. It's not really a moral, ethical point, but it kind of is. Like it's in that regime with the understanding that this is just a silly game, and I make silly game videos as a content creator, whatever the hell that means, right? But that being said, it's irritating to me. It was irritating to me in that context. So not like it doesn't hurt my life or anything, but it's in the context of that silliness. It's irritating to me that we had one deal when I went into this, and they started to change the deal incrementally.
Chipping away at it.
And I brought it up at the very beginning of this crap, like 2 years ago. I'm like, hey, where are we going with this? And it was always poo-pooed. Oh, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Oh, bullshit. I saw it when it started. I knew exactly where it was going. And here we are, right? Yeah. And it's irritating to me. Now, could be a case, really, honestly, they don't know. No. They're good people. They're young. They haven't seen stuff like this. They're in the midst of it. They don't even probably know that, and maybe they do on a certain level, but they don't. Yeah, yeah. Well, they're busy trying to get a living, dude. I mean, they work for the company. They have to. They got to do what they're told, and they need to make money and do their thing, and that's their dream. They're working in their.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool industry, I think. I know it's a grind for them, but you're like, hey, I want to work in the gaming industry, and you got a good job with a big company like Wargaming. That's a gig you probably want to try to keep,
Absolutely.
So, okay, so some questions in there. Yes, I did leave I left the CC program, Wayne, but again, full disclosure, I'm still a CA, a community ambassador, so I'm still kind of associated, but I'm no longer under NDA. Although I need to confirm with them when that exactly is, because what I haven't seen since I told my contact and whatever is any kind of paperwork or notification or whatever. So I need to close that loop because I don't want some stupid technicality to come up and bite me in the arse.
Well, that was going to be my question. How do you officially do that, and how do you officially get notification that it is no longer the case?
I mean, I assume since I signed an NDA at some point, we're going to have to sign you're no longer under NDA at some point. Something like that has to happen, and I don't know if they. Well, surely
or
an
email or something.
Yeah, something in writing that says that you're not. And it's not a case of I have this like burning desire to putting information out. I have zero information to put out, other than my personal situation. Let's see. Yeah, Stickler, it could be. I think that has a lot to do with it, right there, with the whole proving stuff. You can stream not working. This is a much larger conversation than just Wargaming and me, though, with the whole streaming of games. As a general rule, the companies allow streaming of their games, and you can monetize your Twitch channel while streaming their games, but it can get interesting. I had a certain level of legal protection, I would guess, at least in terms of my agreement between Wargaming and myself as a CC.
Yeah.
I will actually be taking some of the Wargaming branded stuff off of some of my graphics and things. I got to work on that. Like my starting screen is something they created, but I'm gonna stop using that, just for my own personal legal security.
Yeah.
So the answer to that is it's squishy, it's nebulous, but you can pretty much stream any game. Most of the companies are just happy that you're putting the game out there, and it doesn't, as long as you're not causing racist stuff or whatever shenanigan, being an idiot. Let's put it
bringing the game into disrepute, whatever it is.
Yeah, as long as you're not being a complete moron, as long as you're not being a complete moron, they're not gonna go after you or whatever.
That's why I couldn't stream any games, because I'd be a complete moron.
Yep. Yeah. So anyway, that's in terms of just a silly game. That's where we are with that.
Can I ask a question while
Sure.
you're looking at the questions there? Did your recent downward trend in your win rate or your percentages, did that coincide with you no longer being a CC?
No.
Did you not have no CC advantage after that?
No, that was before.
All right then.
Yeah, I think actually, if we want to start rolling conspiracy theories, I think what happened there is they were trying to get rid of me.
Yeah, and they succeeded.
I fell for it.
Yeah.
God,
Cool.
I'm not a smart man.
Bless you. Yeah, well, do you know what that whatever it is? I mean, I don't know what a wargaming ambassador is, but you have still some connection to the game that gives you. Well, you don't need viability, but gives you. Well, not even gives you the right, but I'm trying to think of the word really. It just gives you a connection to the game that just keeps you going with what you're doing. I mean, you're primarily, in my opinion, a gaming person. You're not a World of Tanks person. You're a gaming person. Your channel's about gaming. It's not about World of Tanks, which is why you've got DCS on there and other stuff. So, you're an independent guy, and so you should be.
Yeah, and they've been pretty fair with CCs on that. They actually let I mean, you've seen it, right? Klaus is a CC. He says more or less whatever he wants. There is a certain protection in being one of the big fish. That's just a reality of life. So Quickie Baby and some of the other guys can get away with some stuff that maybe some of the smaller CCs wouldn't be able to do, especially if the smaller CCs started causing a ruckus by doing it.
Yeah, sure.
And I've never seen any real vindictiveness out of wargaming. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I'm just being a realist here on how the life works and business works. Sure. I was a really small CC. The corollary to that, or the follow-on, is there was no real attempt to keep me around.
Okay,
that
says everything in
it was
way,
completely cordial. It was, hey, thanks for what you do, we appreciate it. And it was actually their suggestion to do this. Why don't you just become a CA and see how it goes or whatever? So I do appreciate that piece of it. I didn't even think about that, so that was offered. So I suppose that's something, rather than me just coming out and going, oh, boo hoo, they didn't negotiate or talk. So they did.
Okay.
They did do that, so that was fair enough, I suppose.
But you didn't make that decision based on that outcome anyway, did you? So
no, that was going to change nothing. I was just going to remove myself. I just said, hey, I'm going to leave the CC program. Here's a couple of the reasons why, not all of them, because I didn't really want to. I didn't really, and it's not a. We're talking about quite a bit right here. There's not going to be some big I'm leaving video or anything like that. And it's not
some
even.
Have done. I've seen some.
Yeah, and it's not even adversarial necessary. There are some things that are there, obviously, that I'm irritated by, because I brought them up and we discussed them. But there's at the end of the day, it is what it is, which is a stupid statement, but applies in this case.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I do, Bitwise. That's
exactly
the problem.
that.
That's the problem. I have to send virtual coffee cups every morning to all the CCs.
Yeah, but I have to make tea. You see, I have to make tea for Guido. He makes coffee for them.
Need to get now. I need to get Pilgrim as a CA.
That will never happen. I'm too opinionated.
I don't want to be the fluffer.
Yeah,
I don't want to be the fluffer.
He's a fluffer.
All right, fellas. That's enough of that BS. Next stream, Monday. I think we're going to stream tomorrow, guys.
Okay.
So we're going to try that. I'll continue on with the DCS. If you guys have any ideas for what you want to see from DCS, Pilgrim said something about landing. I can do that just for giggles. There's a lot of landing tutorials out there. Maybe I'll just try to land every airplane I have.
Well, definitely the SU, because that's the only aircraft I've got at the moment.
Well, you want me to try to? I haven't even flown that. I'll have to try that out.
It's a beast. It's Russian, isn't it? So it doesn't fly properly.
Yeah. Oh God, Bitwise.
It goes sideways.
You know what my worst nightmare is, Bitwise? I was again Google fooing about the connection with the Wind Wing, and I stumbled upon a guy saying, "Hey, you guys, he does racing sims and DCS, so he's got a lot of peripherals, a lot."
Yeah.
And he says every once in a while it dumps all my key bindings, and I just go, like I hear that, I'm like, oh, for the love of God, no. Because it took me like hour and a half, 2 hours just to get. Now you'll be better at it with the ones you know, because you'll be able to, but still you got to go in there and find them and click and click and click and test and click. That's my worst nightmare.
Far too many buttons in a cockpit. Far too many buttons.
That is honestly my worst nightmare.
Do you fly by wire? Right. Here's the thing. Right. This is the United Kingdom in a nutshell. You guys have got the F-35 fly by wire, and when we got the F-35, we had the non fly by wire version because it was a bit cheaper. So anyway.
Well, I think they're both fly by wire. I'm not sure
we got the cheaper version though that you have to.
Well, the foreign military sales ones are always less.
Yeah.
It's a really long wire and a spool, so when you take off, it spools that wire out. So we only gave you the 50-mile wire, so you can't get very far.
Yeah. Which is why we have trouble in the Red Sea. We don't quite get there. We have to fly from Cyprus. You guys have got, I don't know what it is, the Ford, Gerald Ford or whatever it is.
Well, we're going to give you a couple like tankers that have wires attached to them that can fly with you. If we need you to go somewhere, then we'll take you there.
Yeah, That's exactly what the UK does. Cheap as chicks, mate.
And there's no tea makers in the things.
No, that's disgusting. You selling as crap. You really are.
I mean, seriously, an airplane with no tea maker? I mean, what the heck?
That's terrible. I mean, I don't know how you survive up there in 30, 40,000 feet without a cup of tea. Nightmare.
All right, Pilgrim. Shall we?
We shall.
Time
Why
to
not?
shill.
Let's do it.
Dude, there's literally nothing to
Yes.
shill.
There isn't.
Literally, as the kids say. Which also means there isn't anything to shill. But let's go take a look at it. There we go.
While you're looking at it, I'll just put people right about your bar. It is a nuclear bunker bar with alcohol in it, but you can't see the alcohol because Guido had to sign a disclaimer for his dry January, so he's removed the alcohol from the shelves.
I'm doing good, man.
How's it going?
It's going good. I have had I had 2 glasses of wine on the wife's birthday on the 11th in celebration. So
Yeah.
we got a bottle and had dinner, and I had 2 glass and a half, 2 glasses. But
That doesn't count, does it? Because you're eating a meal and you're just sitting there. For
yeah, I'm down about 5 pounds.
Cool.
Other than those 2 glasses since the 31st.
That's good.
I haven't had a cold.
What are we at now? The 14th, aren't we? So that's
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah, I haven't had a cold
good.
snack. I haven't had a cold snack. I have had a wine snack.
Yeah.
So, looking forward to getting sauced again. You know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding. We'll see. I think
the first pint of Guinness, you'll be flat on your back, mate.
the plan here is a significant reduction overall, and I'm hoping that this is the jump start. So I'm still going to do my Thursday things, but
Yep.
every other day is going to be max 1 and 0 if possible. I still
Yeah.
like beer. I enjoy craft beer.
Yeah.
I just was enjoying it way, way too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just
I get where you're coming from.
yeah, but it's not good for you. But
Well,
on
it
the
is
other
good for
hand,
you, but-
it's enjoyable and it's nice to go out and hang out, and I understand its place in society and whatnot.
Sure.
But this, better than me. You got to be careful.
Yeah, I think very much, it's again. I don't really want to harp on to about the military all the time, but I find that the military culture is hard and fast. So it's you train hard and you play hard.
Right.
So the culture was you would go and do whatever it was you were going to do, and you did it to 100%, and then at the end of it you would basically play hard, and if that involved drinking X number of beers over a weekend and just being a complete and utter arsehole, that's fine. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But that was part and parcel of the culture and the way it is. Because in the middle, you see, this is what I struggle sometimes to explain to people. People's understanding, if they've never been in connection with the military at all, is that we're trained to be aggressive, especially if you're a warfighter. You're trained to be aggressive. You're trained to be hard. You are trained to be a complete and utter beast, basically. So when you go and play, you play at that level. And so, no wonder, we were posted to Germany and fought more with the German police than anybody else ever did. Because that's exact, they were the enemy. Simple as that. And with alcohol down here, of course, the normal sort of restrictions to your actions tend to be a little bit less. So, and so but I genuinely I have not had a drink now since 2005.
Yeah.
Alcohol. But I still miss the camaraderie that goes
Right.
with the Thursday
Right.
evening, going out with your
Right.
mates, having a pint.
Yep.
And just that sit down and having a craft beer or whatever it is on a weekend, not necessarily get pissed, but just it was part of life. So it's a huge chunk of your life. Really.
It is. My problem with it was when I retired. When I was flying,
Yeah.
it was pretty easy. Like
Yeah.
when you're flying, I had a sortie the next day. I didn't. First of all, you want to live, so you don't go get
Yeah.
a big hangover. Second of all, you get in some significant trouble, and it was just the culture was, I'm flying tomorrow. I might have one in the bar right after the sortie before, but I'm not going to have 3 or 4 or 10 or whatever.
No.
Weekends were what you're talking about. Weekends, all
Yeah.
bets are off. Sunday, again, you're having sortie Monday, so you're going to go easy or whatever.
Yeah.
Once that was removed when I retired
Yeah.
and it was no longer a factor, then I could find myself, on Tuesday or Thursday or Wednesday or whatever. It didn't matter. I could do, whatever I wanted to. And I'm not saying it was like a raging alcoholism problem. Some would probably, based on the requirements for that these days, they would, which is they've gone completely off the rails on a lot of that stuff. But it was certainly more than it needed to be.
Yeah.
Like that's
And I think that
that's
you start
easy.
to think about health. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you get to a certain age, you sort of well, I'm not recovering from this like I used to.
Yeah.
And it's affecting me in a way that I don't want it to affect me. So you start to then think, well, hang on a minute, what's going on here, don't you? You know what I mean? So.
Yep.
And I the biggest time I miss a beer is when you guys call them smokers, but when I've got a barbecue going in the summer, in the back garden, in the backyard, the steaks are on, sizzling, and I could do with a pint of light ale or something nice and cold,
shandy
cold
or
beer.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, and I sit there with me, excuse my French, flipping tomato juice, doing a barbecue like, oh, I'm really enjoying this. And everybody else
With the
is
pinky
like,
up.
"Oh, look." Yeah. Going, this is living. This is.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your grill won't light without a beer. Look, Muskrat, I hear you, man. I mean, sometimes you buy the grill that requires beer to get going. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Kedge, that's interesting. I am still doing Thursdays with the boys, and I've sort of started digging into some of the non-alcoholic versions. I had one that was actually pretty nice. It was a seasonal ale, non-alcoholic, and I want to say it was the Sam Adams, which is not necessarily craft, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was actually, I didn't hate it. It wasn't horrible.
No. I've tried non-alcoholic or very low percentage, something like 0.01%.
Now that's a question I have, Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Is that alcoholic or not?
0.01%.
Well, I've seen 0.5. Some of the ones in the States that are advertised as non-alcoholic, and at the craft beer bar I go to, there's a couple of them are stouts, and they're 0.5. What do you guys think?
You'd have to drink an awful lot to get a buzz out of it. Put it that way. I mean, to the point where your bladder explodes. I reckon. 8-9 pints of the stuff to even get any sort of buzz. So I guess.
But
I'm a strict teetotal, so I mean, I have to have. I've been out with the lads when people.
So you wouldn't even do a 0.5?
Probably not. I mean, it's a mindset thing, Guido. So my mind,
right. So I'm not.
my
I'm just.
mind would go.
You're right.
Alcohol.
Right. Yeah.
That's
That's what I'm wondering. I'm like, all right, if I have a 0.5, am I breaking? Not that it matters, right? I could go have a beer right now, and it's whatever. It's just the idea of it is to reduce. I'm doing dry January just so I can, because I think sometimes, I think discipline is important. And if you can put your mind to something and do it, even if it's just for a month, that's a good exercise in discipline.
No, totally.
It's a good exercise. But so then I look at that and I'm going to go, all right, am I breaking my exercise? Also, is it actually alcohol free when it's 0.5? I don't know.
I feel it is, but I mean.
See, Wayne's.
I'm very strict on it. That's the point.
Wayne is going. Any alcohol is alcohol.
Alcohol is alcohol. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. But people will say, you can get food that has some sort of alcohol in it. I mean,
well, it's a good point.
What if chocolates with like Cointreau chocolates with and things like that?
If you cook with wine though and beer, that boils out. That's gone.
Yeah.
As long as you do that long enough. That's interesting. Howie. That's right. Yeah, your well water is as alcoholic as an actual Bud Light. I hear you.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, it is a mindset with me. you talk about the discipline thing. I actually stopped smoking at the same time as I did drinking, so that was like the biggest hit ever. For me, mentally, it would feel like I've dropped 17 years of my life if I went back and had one beer, and it would then lead me down that terrible road that I don't want to be down.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So it's a mental thing for me. It's not so much. I mean, I probably couldn't handle more than 2 beers. I'd be on my back anyway. But,
yeah.
You know, I wouldn't, purely because it would feel like I've just dropped 17 years worth of, you know, straight and narrow, if you like.
I got rid of the soda, Fast Red Horse, almost exclusively. I will occasionally, if I go have a big hamburger or something, have a half a Coke with it.
Yeah,
Or my weakness.
So bad.
My weakness is cherry vanilla Coke. Oh, I love
Is
cherry.
it?
Oh, I love cherry.
Yeah, well,
vanilla
I
Coke.
like. Nobody in my house likes that apart from me.
Oh man.
Isn't that weird? I know. Yeah. I know.
Well, see, Wayne. Look, this is what I'm saying. I'm not acting like I'm good at it because I love sweet tea and I still drink sweet tea, and my coffee is full of that. Hazelnut stuff, which is almost pure. Fructose syrup or whatever, unsaturated fat. So it's probably 100% worse than a can of Coke. But the good news is I'm not having the Coke and the coffee with the creamer.
Yeah, there you go. You have reduced something.
It's a battle, man. It's all right. We've been at this for an hour. We're going to come back. We are actually going to do the shilling when we get back, but I do need to get up because I need more high fructose syrup and unsaturated or saturated fats.
I need more caffeine.
5 minutes, guys. Go redo your copies. We'll be back.
Guido is his name, Tankin is his game. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. Now in the shadows came a mysterious chap who spoke in a tongue with strange dialect. He offered his help to the mighty Guido to bring some laughter to his love of speedos. To the coffee talk they both came, to bring the message of winning ways to all and sundry and the masses. Yes, that's right, lads and lasses. The damage counts and flexing back will keep you on the right track. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. So in what, if you want to progress, then seek out Guido nonetheless. With his sidekick Pilgrim, he has a message that to win you must be aggressive. The position and place that you must seek, for the winners only, not the weak. The guru speaks, so listen well. His voice rings out like the Liberty Bell, to bring you all to Unicom land, or to die hard trying in the sand. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. To the swamplands came the mountain man, to teach his wisdom and pay his due.
Alright, let's chill, fellas. Cherry vanilla Coke is next. I know, man. Woody, it's delicious. Pharmacy in town that still sells nickel Cokes. Oh, wow. Oh, so a proper soda jerk. Nice.
See, the thing is, but before we shield, the thing is about Coke is that if it's the original Coke, it is well worth it in a glass bottle in that shape. You know, that is that is Coke. The stuff that they throw out these days is just
The best Coke we
facsimile.
have, the best Coke we have, at least it was years ago. I don't know if it's still the same, but if you can get Coke made in Mexico, because it's
Really?
they use, I think they use cane sugar down there and not the high fructose stuff.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
It's got a really nice taste.
Ah.
Kedge, when I was a kid, I drank my weight in Mountain Dew a day. In high school,
But
especially.
that is pure sugar, isn't it? That's
Oh
just
man,
Coke.
and caffeine.
Just
It's
sugar.
yeah, it's just sugar and caffeine. That's it. And I think there's a line gets carried through the factory at some point. Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, Mountain Dew. I don't know how you make your stuff. Send me some free stuff, and then I'll do
Yeah.
I'll do an all Mountain Dew stream. All right. That's how we shield now. Let's see, guys. There's not a lot going on, honestly, as you might suspect. We have the Snatch the Diamond. We'll talk about that low effort shenanigans in a little while. But in the shop itself, you got the furry. The furry's back. I enjoyed that. I mean, it's a nice little tier six. It's a Sherman. So there you go.
It's a Sherman variant, isn't it?
Yep. You have the Scorpion, always a hit. Makes a lot of credits even to this day. So that was a decent gun for doing that. The IS-2S, I guess if you like tier 7 IS variants, that might be for you. It's okay, not amazing. And then that's it, fellas. That's really it. There's some, I don't know. There's nothing going on. We're all kind of waiting for proper battle pass, but everyone's in the midst of the Mara pass for the Nomad. Premium count,
Yeah.
nothing.
What do you think? Are you going to come on to that in a bit?
Yeah, we're going to get to Snatch the Diamond.
Dear, oh dear.
Snatch the Diamond. Oh my goodness gracious. What on earth? All right. Does that word mean the same thing in England? Snatch.
Where?
Snatch.
Yeah, there is various meanings to that word. No, we're not going to go there, are we? We are not going to go there.
Look, all I'm saying is they named it Operation Snatch.
Yeah, but they did, didn't they?
I didn't do it.
See?
I didn't do that.
Well, you see, it's on par with you guys called your bottoms fannies, don't you? Well, yeah.
Yeah, you have the front fanny.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you hear the word fanny pack, that's right out.
Dear, oh dear.
Ooh.
Yeah, snatch. Yeah.
Hey, let's check my battle journey. Did you guys get this?
I did, yeah. I deleted it. I
Here's-
was a hooker. Yeah.
Wait, what?
What? Who?
You were a hooker. No longer. He's no longer a hooker. He's mended his
retired
ways. Let's see what Guido did this year.
Let's see what Guido.
Total battles fought 4,075. 2281 were victorious. Okay, good. That's a lot of battles. Don't do the math. I don't want to know.
How many hours is that?
I played a lot of the UK because that was several of my 100 battle challenge tanks.
All right.
Surprised me a little bit. All right, my best battles. Siegfried Line, I did a 1,652 experience, and these are all based on experience when they do this because it's only 3,400 damage. 5 kills in the FSV Schedule A.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Number 2 was a.
Isn't it weird when you get these stats pulled up and you look at them and you think, no way?
Oh no, there's no. I think these are based on. That was not an experience. That's assist. It doesn't show the experience, but I think these are ranked by experience. Because that's funny that they didn't put it on there. What? Honestly, dude, they're like, oh, here's your top 3 battles. Well, in what fashion are these my top 3 battles, and why is that number not there? because that's not my top damage, and it's certainly not my top combined. This is the FSV though is a tier 7, right?
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, whatever. So then we had what is this one? The M2Y. 4,000 damage and 425 assist. All right, what else we got going on? Yeah, there are a lot of Mana Core games in there. That's a good point. So the UK is just going to automatically get a few extra battles every year. 2 minutes and 49 seconds was my fastest.
Yeah, that was a rollover.
Somebody, one of the CCs in the channel put in, he had one that was like, honestly, it was like, it wasn't 49 seconds, but it was like a minute 30 or something like that. It was crazy.
That's crazy,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I'm not even sure how that happens because you can't even. You had a 139, Zimbo? What?
Wow. That's got to be like the whole team gets spotted and massacred within a minute 39. Wow.
Well, there's fast caps.
Or a cap.
There's fast cap situations, I suppose, but that is a fast cap.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can do that necessarily with Encounter because Encounter takes a lot longer. Even if you put 3 on, I don't think you can get a minute 39. Anyway, that was my fastest one. What else we got? We got look at this. 17. Notice they don't give you the amount of losses in a row.
No. Yeah, that would be confirmation bias, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But I did manage a 17 streak. That's pretty good.
All right.
It's got to be one of the higher ones I've had, I'd say.
Yeah.
And we got, all right, so we had 400 battles in light tanks, 1,000 in medium, 1,400 in heavies, 1,000 in TDs, and 43 in Arty. With the
43 and Arty.
yeah, I'm an Arty player now.
Oh, yeah. We've noticed.
Victory rate is
You bring
definitely
that together.
down from where it was. So over the year, it looks like it was about 55, maybe. Battle style.
How do they work that out, battle style? It's just like, oh, it's just what class.
It's just
you
what
do.
class you played, yeah. 66
Yeah.
epic.
Artillery figures quite significantly in yours then.
Yeah, well, next year it'll probably be like 90%
Oh,
Arty.
yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
My lucky map is Nebelberg.
Really?
Um,
That's a frontline map, isn't it?
I know.
Wait, how much frontline did you do?
I don't even remember playing it.
What makes
All
you
right,
lucky?
I probably played it once and I'm 100% on it. So that they're like,
Yeah, I've got tanks like that. Mate. You know, you do one battle and you win. 100% win rate in a lot of my tanks.
I don't even know what, I have no idea what made that. Maybe it's total damage, which you would have higher damage on frontline. I don't know. There's no indication of why they think that. Odd Dog.
It's absolute crap, isn't it?
Odd Dog, it's possible that because remember, this is in a row, not in a session. You might have had a winning streak at the end of a session and then another one at the beginning of a session that you didn't really notice. I think that's what happened to my 17 because I don't remember one session winning 17 in a row. But that's probably what happened. It's across 2 sessions or a day or 2 or even 3. Maybe you sat down and played 2 or 3 games for a week, but they were all wins and you just didn't notice it. That's what I think
that's
maybe
crazy,
happened.
Isn't it? I've got a. Where is this? Is this in your
It's actually on the page. So
is it? Okay.
Yeah, and it will go to yours if you're logged in. It will show you yours.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I've got to find it because I've got to see what they want me, what they think. I think my. Yeah, I've got to find it. I really have.
I played 371 Mana Core battles last year.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That'd be about right, wouldn't it?
And look at these other 2, most played researchable vehicles, SP and the Saladin, because I played them from 0 to 100 as they both came out this year. So that's why they ended up being there.
Were they in your 100 battle challenge?
Yeah, I finished both of those.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
all right, yeah.
That's how that happened. Average 1,417 experience in the Mana Core. If that's an average, that's pretty dang good.
Isn't it?
But maybe that's the best game. That's got to be bet. No, that can't. That's not true. Can't have average. Not base. That can't be a base average. That's probably a best game average or a best game experience, unless it's an average of the total experience you get with all your bonuses and crap. But again, there's no indication. Who the hell knows? It doesn't even tell you what it is. But this is pretty straightforward. Vehicles destroyed. Noted. 4 and 1. Got it. That makes sense. Damage. Yep. Got it. Battles. Noted. What experience is this? One game? Average. It's certainly not base. Because there's no way I'm averaging 14, 17 base experience in it.
Yeah.
So there you go. What else we got? Is that a link you're trying to put in there, Todd? If you send it to one of the mods, they can dump it in there for you. Most played premium vehicle, TL. Ouch. They just
yeah,
had. They just.
That struggled. You struggled.
They just had to remind me.
Yeah.
Oh, the thing for Pilgrim. Thanks, Todd. Here, let me. Can I? Oh, stop it. Give me a second, guys. I must have a maximum amount of mods allowed. Because I haven't been able to, I don't know why I haven't been able to make someone a mod for a while.
How many you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 mods.
Total? Or just in right now?
In right now you got 5 in.
How do you know that?
Because you can click on your it's community. There's a community button top right hand corner of the stream.
Huh. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. Todd, I was going to mod you, but for some reason I can't anymore, so I might have the max amount. But if you want to send it to Kedge, he'll drop that in for everybody, because it'll be the same link for everybody, I think. All right. What else we got? There's my average XP. That's got to be a base.
Yeah, that's base in it 622, but that's still good.
Got average damage 1785, 571 assist, 441 blocked. My assist is up a lot. That's good.
That'll go hand in hand with your Manticore, surely.
I like this. This is good to know right here.
Yeah,
So that's the hits, which is an interesting large number. But accuracy overall is 72. Penetrated.
Percent.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So of the 72% of these that I hit, I penned 72% of that number. Interesting.
So that's 100%.
So find out what 72% of the big number is, and then 72% of that smaller number is the number I penned. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay.
72% of the 72%.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is equal. It is odd that they're equal, isn't it, Laurendale? I thought the same thing, and I thought kind of initially the same thing Pilgrim did. I'm like, well, okay, so it's the same. Like, no, wait a minute, because otherwise it'd be you pin 100% of what you hit. That's not true.
That's exactly what I just thought.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. General link for Battle Journey. There you are.
Cool. Thanks, guys. I spotted over 5,000. We don't know how you did it, but good job. I drove around. Drive around. Jump up and down. All right. All right, this is fun. And I'm going to shout out to Klaus on this because I watched one of his videos. I don't watch him all the time, but I do on occasion because he does make me laugh, to be quite honest, on occasion. Well, but one of the funnier things he said lately is he was talking about someone having a big game, and a leopard got one shot and exploded. And he started laughing, and he made a great point. He's like, it seems like every time someone at the high tier 10 says a huge game, it includes a leopard exploding. And I thought, you know what? I don't know how many times we've been platooning, and guys, remember that one game where they nuked 2 leopards?
Yes.
They were
yes.
you or someone else, or I don't know if you were playing or whatever it was, but Zemke and maybe Diablo or something, and so they one-shot leopards with the FVs and shit. One of them was a full one-shot, and the other one was most of its hit points, as I recall. But that made me laugh when I saw it, because I'm like, all right, I don't even remember leopards being that that much a tank I kill. I do recall killing lots of scorpions. You know how you kill lots of scorpions?
Shoot them.
Well, this is an interesting story to me if we dive into this a little bit. You kill a lot of leopards because these dudes, and scorpions to some extent, if you last a long time in the game. Honestly, all three of these tanks, to be honest. But leopards, when they're forward, die pretty quickly. I'm forward a lot. Barasks, if you're doing a lot of spotting and jousting with spotting tanks, you end up killing lots of Barasks and being killed by them a lot. But these are all end game tanks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Scorpions because they're always in the back.
Yeah.
Leopards because they're generally in the back, or if they're up forward, they're dying. And Barasks because they tend to hide and be at the late end of the game.
Yeah, and they've got the reload problem, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've got the 2 shots and then they're useless for whatever, 20 seconds.
And that is probably reading way too much into this, but let's just say that that's true. Let's just pretend I'm right.
Yeah. Let's just use your CA knowledge.
Yeah. Oh man, I wonder if hey, wait a minute. We were talking. My win rate's gone back up. Maybe CA RNG is better than CC RNG to try to get them to build up so that they can be.
Yes, that's why it's better. CA win rate is better because it encourages them to apply for the CC program.
All right,
they're going to get even better.
We've broken the code.
Did it?
Yeah. We have broken the code. All right, I destroyed 5,064. If we need to take someone out, you know what? Hold on a minute.
Destroyed by fire. Look at that.
I am almost 100% sure, unless it says somewhere later on. This said, and I remember this distinctly because I'm like, that's a little brutal. It said, if we need someone killed, we'll call you.
Really?
It did. They changed it. Does anyone in chat remember that that's what it said initially? Or am I like actually imagining things? I believe that initially said, yes, Fast Red Horse. Yes.
Do you think they've toned it down a bit?
Well, hold on. Maybe it'll show up somewhere else. But I think it said, if we need someone killed, we'll call you. That is awesome. Some Karen called them out on it, and they changed it.
Yeah.
Oh man. What's the male equivalent of Karen? Carl?
Probably. Zimbo says his says if we need to kill someone, you'll be it.
That's funny.
Kevin's and Karen's.
That is funny. Ken's.
Brilliant.
Enemy vehicles are lit. Only 43? That's disappointing.
No, that can't be right. No, destroyed by fire.
Destroyed by fire, not just lit on fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am surprised that's as low as it is.
Yeah, look at that, man. But that is a good number still, isn't it?
I know it is. Yeah, I wish it was higher.
Yeah.
I wonder how many times I died by ramming.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if you've rammed somebody and you...
Because I die by ramming all the time. I don't know if it's more than I kill people by ramming, but I probably have a lot of died by ramming.
Yeah.
Ramming attempts, I guess.
Yeah.
What else we got? My nemesis. And I would believe that. This thing, I hate these things. They're brutal. I've been killed by a Barask. So I'm just a little bit ahead of them and killing them. But they've got me 50 times. I'm not surprised by that one at all. Yours is also the Barask wing? There you go. Loradell, the Barask? Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Not surprised, though. You tend to be at the end of the game because that's how people play them. And they're brutal at the end of the game, closing guys out. All right, best battles by type. Now, here it is. This is when they put the experience on it. This is what I think is running these. So TNH with a 1591 experience. Schedule 8. These are probably the same games that were on the other one. Manicore 1417. All right, so that confirms. Remember that number on the Manicore one was 1417? It was my one best game that it was showing. That's the same number.
All right.
So that one, SMB 56, 1487, and a 1208 with the 5355. I think I actually featured that one. I did. That was fairly recently. That was that Sand River one where I shotgunned the guy and hit a pixel of his turret. All right.
See, it's very subjective, though, isn't it? By how they class everything. I mean, I would class, like, my best battle, I would class as the biggest damage, win or lose.
Yeah.
That's how I would class my best battle. But they will class it differently. Total distance travel, yeah.
Why is that in meters?
I don't know. This
Doesn't
is
it show miles?
using meters.
Doesn't it show miles in the game, in the end game plates? Or am I imagining
Good
things?
point. Yeah, good point. No, I never looked.
I thought it was. I've deleted all mine. I don't have it. I believe it's miles, right, guys? On the end game plate where it says distance traveled. Already means number would be too small.
Yeah.
Kilometers. It is kilometers. That's right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I have to divide this by what to get to kilometers?
Well, it's 3 kilometers to a mile nearest damage.
No, I don't want to convert. I want to convert the meters to kilometers.
Oh, meters, yeah, by
1,000
meters, 1,000 meters per kilometer, yeah.
1,000. All right.
Yeah.
So really, we can just 8,105, or is it 81,000? My brain is not working on that right now.
Take 2 off.
Somebody just take 2, right?
51. Yeah.
81,000. That makes sense. That sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah.
81,000 kilometers.
That's twice around the planet.
By
I just
pixel.
pulled that out of thin air. I don't know if it's true or not.
How many kilometers around is the Earth?
I don't know. Somebody Google it quick.
And that's the end of that, fellas. That's all I gotta say about that. 1 mile, yeah, 1 mile. 8,105 kilometers. Oh man. 69,000 togs a few years ago.
Togs. I would love to do a tog. That much, but I just get depressed.
All right, let's move on to subjects du jour, guys.
Yeah.
Let's move on to subjects du jour because we can cover some of these
With
other
that,
things.
I'll break open the spring water.
Oh, nice,
broke it
tasty spring water. Just
There you go.
there you go. That'll get your juices flowing.
That's cracked water right there, mate.
Oh man, I heard the psh. Oh, is it bubbly?
No, it's just still.
Oh,
I
good.
can't do bubbly.
Nah, me either, man.
Oh, man.
All right, so missions wise, there's nothing in here. We've got oh, you got to join a team. We'll talk about that. I finished approved by Vinny. I joined Frankie's team. Frankie 4 fingers or whatever it is, 5 fingers, 10 fingers.
Yeah.
Annex 13105, the STB, and fellas, that's it, man. That is all for missions. So we have the snatch. Go.
You never say that without smiling, you know.
All right, so go to Operation Snatch, and you've got to come down to the characters, and I think you have to join them. How do you join them? Is this it? Maybe I can't join them anymore because I already did, but somewhere in here was a way to join their team. Then they have specific missions. If you come here, these are the prizes for each guy. So if you're interested in seeing what they are slightly different. So you may want to pick the one you want. Plus they do different. So this guy is destroy vehicles. This one's do damage. This one's most combat. This one's most enemy damage, most enemy. This is block. And I took which one did I take? Frankie 4 fingers. I didn't even pay attention to this, so I ended up with damage the most enemy vehicles contest. Then you're going to take Daisy to the vet. And here's the leaderboards. I'm number 86.
Hey, because nobody signed up
Wow.
for it, that's why.
Number 86, 4.44 damage. Let's see what the leaderboard is. Let's see how rigged this is. Hillbilly Armor is somehow damaging 9 vehicles a game and is averaging 1,747 XP. Interesting.
Arty player. Arty player.
Let's just go find out what Hillbilly Armor is doing to do such things. What do you guys think? Churchill on SA?
Arty.
Churchill on Panzer 3J on the SA server or
Yeah,
some such?
yeah, it will be, yeah. Yeah, of course he is.
What is his name? Capital H Billy _ Armor. Okay, let's find out here. Billy. Not seeing him. _ Armor. Oh, found him. All right. So we got Clan Armor here. What is our last tanks? What are we doing to... oh, look at this. Yeah. 16,520. He's not really... oh, has he just not played that much? Doesn't say how many games he's done. Oh, I see. So is there a minimum and then you don't really have to do anything past that? Yep, that's probably what's happened. So he did the minimum. Let's go the last 3 days. What? 1 game. 7 days. Let's go 7 days. What on earth is going on here? Huh. Was it 2? How many games did he play? These 2 games and that's it?
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on here, dudes. This is the last 7 days. He's played 1 game of 2 tanks and he's number 1. So he had a big game and he damaged 9 vehicles and he quit. I thought... select a character. The final leaderboards would be published. Blah, blah. Leaderboard recorded. There are 5 leaderboards. As you complete mission, you'll be compete. Blah, blah. Huh. Apparently there's no minimum, I guess. This is what I'm getting from it. Maybe I'm wrong, but okay. That's funny. What about Deads? Let's check out Deads. Let's see what you did. There he is. This... see, what? That's the same 2... no, okay, I had to click that. Never mind, it was the old guy's stuff. Oh, this is classic. He's played... he's played 2 tanks.
See, that's where you'd let yourself down. It's not right.
This is awesome. So he played the RBFM and went, because at Pew Pew's, just had a huge game. Played an Arty, because you can just plunk it down on anywhere you want and damage as many as possible. And then went...
that'll do.
done. All right, what else we got? Let's just look at the last guy. Or the 3rd guy. Chipper. Now it starts to drop off significantly. How about Chipper? What's Chipper done? Capital C. There he is. We got to do this so it's not. Played the Udez 3 times. Last 7 days he's played more tanks, so he's done a little bit. But in the last 3 days, since this mission's been going, essentially. Yeah, so he had one big game. So the leaderboard for this mission is guys that just played a few games. Whether they did it on purpose or not, they probably don't even know. Maybe they do, and they just stop playing because they're on top. Perfect. Bullet Tooth Tony, what is his? His is destroy the most enemy vehicles. What do we got going on here? We got a 6. This guy's killing 6 a game. All right, so mini. Can I copy paste these? Does that work? You guys are geniuses, absolute geniuses. All right, there we go. We got to do this again. I mean, he's played a few games, 3 different tanks. He's had some big. How is he averaging 6? There's 6 on those 2. Are those the only 2 that are counting? They must be. 24 hours, he has none. 3 days. When did this start? He had 2 Top Guns. But then this thing is averaging 1.6. So how? I thought this started 3 days ago. I feel like these should count. So how is he not? How is he still at 6 average destroyed? There you go. It's all very straightforward, fellas. That's enough time wasted on that. So Snatch. Let's just talk about it.
As much use as Snatch, eh?
Yeah, let's talk about it in general, though, fellas, because well, Pilgrim takes a long drag on his tasty water.
Tasty water.
What do you guys think about this, Pilgrim? What do you think?
What, the charioteer with a funny paint job?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like the charioteer in game, but I've no reason to bust the gut to get that because I like the charioteer. The stats are not different. The stats are exactly the same. It's just a paint job on a charioteer. I don't know. I've got a good win rate in it. I enjoy the charioteer, but I'm not busting the gut just to get a paint job. Oh, you've got the stats there. There's no difference.
It is exactly the Tech Tree Charioteer with one big important difference.
It's a premium.
It's a premium.
Yeah. There you go. Is that what they're doing now, Wargaming? Is it turning Tech Tree tanks into premiums?
I don't know, man. That's you can buy stages, CM. So guys are making good points. I like the goodies too. I bought the improved pass. I'm gonna get all the goodies. You know, it's all here. And yes, you can. It's right here down here. Purchase stages, so you can certainly do that. At this point, I've done 7, so it would cost me 11,000 gold plus the purchase of the improved battle pass. So I think it's like all of these Mera passes you're going to want to play until the end and then decide whether you want to spend the gold. I mean, if you finish it, great. If you don't, you're going to use the slider if you want to.
I'm not being funny, Guido. You're going to spend the gold to get a paint job, aren't you, really? And
Yeah.
apart from take away all the goodies you get, basically you're going to spend gold to get a paint job. That's all you do.
Yeah, you get a punching bag and
Yeah.
some stuff.
An inflatable dinghy for the back.
Get a lucky wheel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't even, these are all, I am assuming, references to the movie. Got Daisy on there. Boris's Blade. Boris the Blade. Bullet Troop.
Yeah.
Poof. Tony. Replica.
Yeah.
Silly little thing. I don't know why that says replica. I guess it has something to do with the movie. Pretty low effort, though. Is the lucky wheel on both sides? Let's see, it's on that side. Yes. So, wait, is that the same side? It is, right? That's the right side? No, I think it's only on one side. Nope, there's the left side. unless they just swap the image around. I don't know. So wouldn't it be Lucky Wheels?
Yeah, it should be, shouldn't it? If it was 2. You only get 1 lucky wheel, don't you?
Yeah. Well, if you like the Charioteer a lot, Wayne, it's a premium version.
I don't know. You've got to say to yourself, if you're, say you get halfway, like most of us will get halfway before the end, and then say you want to go and spend 6,000 gold or so on it, are you spending 6,000 gold on a premium tank with a different paint job? If you like the Charioteer, maybe that is a thing.
I mean, if you think about it, people have said, "Hey, it would be cool if I could spend gold to turn a Tech Tree tank into a premium." This is kind of what you're doing here.
Yeah.
I mean,
As long as you're going to play the game until it ends, so you get it as cheap as you possibly can, because you don't want to spend 14,000 gold. Surely not.
I mean, I'll get it. I'll end up getting it because I have all the gold and I collect all this stuff. But I find it overall to be low effort because it's a Tech Tree tank. I'm not necessarily against the mechanic of all of it and the way it's been done. That's fine. And I don't know. Maybe nobody. I'm not outraged by it. I just find it to kind of be odd around the edges. But if you look at it from the other point of view, it's like, all right, that's cool. It's a Tech Tree tank, and I turned it into a premium. Now I make extra money on a tank I like. All right, fair enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think there's anything cynical about it, but I think you're quite right. It's a low effort. It's a low budget effort. Somebody's just gone, yeah, let's just do that. Get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Sorted. Somebody's had that,
This is annoying. I don't care for this very much. The packages for extra commanders.
No.
I mean, there's still goodies in there. I'm not saying they're not worth it necessarily. It's just this is kind of nutty with the amount of gold you're paying for some of this stuff.
We're getting some comments about Snatch, which I won't involve myself in. But yeah, bitwise, you're right. There is a lot of premium T34s out there, aren't there? The T3485M. People, it's basically a T3485, isn't it? So it's not like it's not happened before.
Have you cleaned it out, Zimbo? The Keurigs, every once in a while, if you get, you probably know this, but you get some white vinegar and run it through a couple times, it'll clean it out a little bit for you. Sometimes though, they just eventually wear out. We're on our third or fourth one.
Is it those things with the little capsules you put in?
Yeah. You fold it down and makes brews one
Okay.
cup of coffee right off. They're really nice, actually. I kind of like them.
Yeah, they're cool. I like those. Yeah, for coffee, The occasional times I have tried it.
Yeah, I figured you knew how to do that, Zimbo. My problem with that though, Zimbo, is I feel like I have to run 800,000 cups of water through it before I stop smelling the daggum vinegar.
But I'm just going to say, does that not that not affect the taste?
Yep.
Bit of vinegar in there.
Yeah. All right, so we got Snatch going on. What else we got going on? New Japanese tanks. Anybody? How's everybody getting along with the new Japanese tanks?
I like them.
I'm at the 7, and I liked the 5 and 6. I have no problem with either one of those. Those were both fine.
They are. They're not overpowered, but they are usable. They are playable, which is nice for a change. A bit like the TD line, the Japanese TD line.
Yeah.
They're not like indestructible, but both lines are playable. I think that's the best I can say.
Yeah.
I like them. Yeah.
I can't speak to the stock grinds. I didn't do that. Todd said he got. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Todd, you said that earlier, but yeah, he's got his. That's. Is that with the? When it's cooled, it's 0.25, or is that just sitting at the beginning? That's probably while it's cooled, right? That's crazy. That's amazing.
That is good, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I liked the 6 quite a bit. The 7, I've only played 5 games in it, but pretty good, not bad. The 5 is kind of fun, running around with a 300 alpha gun, thumping people.
Yeah, it is fun, that, isn't it?
Is the 63 and the tier 8 similar at all? Oh, also, fellas, I don't know if you know this, but that mini patch we just got should have fixed the gun bump on the hydraulics for the Japanese tanks. So you should not be seeing that bump anymore when you go into the hydraulic mode.
Ah.
Yeah, I just read that. So theoretically, that's what that patch was for. So that's a good thing. So Japanese tanks are out. I'm on the 7. You will see the review for the 5 and the 6 next week. I have those done and they're in the hopper.
It'll be nice to see how the once I get there, how the tier 10 performs. Because the expectation will be that they'll be overpowered. But with the cooling and everything else, just massive accuracy. I don't know. We'll see. The tier 10 will be.
Diablo, I don't think is in here, but he mentioned that a lot of guys were saying, "Well, the tier 10 is going to be the new Super Conqueror." He disagrees. He didn't like it as much, but
okay.
Here it is, right here, numbers wise. We're talking about. It does get -12 with the hydraulics. It has a relatively fast reload. It's got a 400 alpha, and the accuracy gets down to 0.28, and then you add the bonuses, and I think you're in the regime that Todd gets it down to like 0.25 when it's cooled.
Yeah.
Significantly worse uncooled at 0.42. The other stuff that's going on we've got Season of the Crimson Pegasus. I haven't bothered.
You did mention you might try it, didn't you?
I have said that, I think, every time for the last 2 years. I just like 6 or 7, 8 o'clock in the evening comes around, and I don't want to be playing a video game at that point. I'm just too tired. Don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
Kedge is gonna try. All right, cool, man. Good luck. So that's going on. We've got some low tier stuff has been rebalanced. Not really.
They are driving that a little bit, aren't they? They're saying that they want to do all the low tier rebalancing this year. Morning my BMW.
Now this is interesting. I hadn't paid close attention to this, but I read it and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. What's all this stuff? So it's going to randomly select a scenario from 3 combat reserve options. The standard one, Operational Support accelerates reserve charge, and Twist of Fate offers a choice between 2 randomly selected combat reserves. Are these the 3 different versions they've created over time, or is it kind of a... Because I haven't played Frontline for 2 years. Well, obviously I played it this year because it's my best map.
You did it once.
Did it once or twice or whatever I did. But I haven't really got into it for the last year or 2. And I know they've been messing around with how the combat reserve stuff works. And it looks like this time there's 3 different versions of that. Whether those are exactly the same as the different versions they've built over the years or not, I can't tell you because I haven't played them, but I'm not sure. My son said he's having great games using 430U. Don't know how it's 10. Okay, good. Okay. So that's what's going on with Frontline. Maybe I'll give that a shot this time. I don't know.
I enjoy it. Frontline's great. I don't know why they mess about with it, but because it is a good mode in my opinion, especially for a free-to-play player.
Yeah.
As I've said before, on my EU account, I don't spend money on them, so it does credit grind for me. So that's cool.
What else we got? There's a mod that's advertised on Armored Patrol coming out called What is a Classic. I guess what these guys are doing, or they're taking a lot of the old World of Tanks stuff and making a mod that kind of makes it sound and look like the old World of Tanks stuff. So if you can see, you've got the old garage going on. I don't know how much this has to do with gameplay, or if it's just a mod overlay, or if it's a completely different game, or what's going on. But if you're interested, there are some people that are doing that. And what else? I think that's pretty much it, guys. Oh, important thing. If you're one of the guys who likes to win the tanks and then sell them, i.e. the Nomad. Although it says Charioteer. Oh, is that a bug on the Charioteer? Hold on. There's a bug. Oh, maybe it's the Charioteer. Hold on. I have my information incorrect. No. Well, it says it's giving me the whole... that's interesting. find it here. Charioteer Nomad. Okay. Yeah, so it is the Nomad. There's a bug where it will only give you 20,000 silver for it. They're going to patch it. It may have already been patched, but if you're one of these guys who wins these tanks and then sells them for whatever reason, which there's some of those people around like do that kind of thing, just beware right now. I think it's only going to give you 20 until they patch it. Probably doesn't apply to many people, but there you go. And that, as they say, Pilgrim, is that.
And that is that.
Yep, I don't have anything else on my list. I just have about a third of a coffee cup left and a little bit of time. And
A bit of time, and I've got my spring water, so
yeah.
let's talk. Let's see. Let's talk Guido's stories. Come on. Let's talk about
they're
a story.
they're
Let's
boring.
Talk about the top. Oh,
I don't have any good
you're
stories.
A violent man.
I don't have any. I've never attacked China.
No. Well, I can give you some tips on that. You're gonna get drunk, have a birthday, take a cake over. That's good.
That sounds more like a friendly visit than an attack.
It was a very friendly visit.
It was all
I
misconstrued.
wanted them, yeah, I wanted them to be included in my birthday celebrations. What's wrong with that? Come on, there must be one time when you were at 40,000 feet and you thought, "Shit, I need to write this in my journal. This is a one-off." Did you ever see a UFO? Put it that way.
No. Yes.
Yes.
Lots of stuff I never was flying. I couldn't identify from the distance I was at.
Right, but not like a saucer or a glowing object in the sky. You didn't get any of that then?
No.
Oh, I bet you did. You just not saying.
No.
I bet Project Blue Book is like in your yard, isn't it?
I mean, I had a boring career. I see these guys all talking about, they saw these UFOs and it was flying next to them and all that. I'm like, man, I wish something cool like that would have happened to me. I never saw any of that. I just had students try to kill me. That's all right.
Yeah, that's all right though.
Yeah.
Well, there is an attrition rate which is allowed at peacetime as well, isn't there? So
There is, yeah. There's an expected amount.
What percentage of your students were allowed to die before anybody questioned?
No, nobody. They don't want to lose people, although they sort of understand that's going to happen on occasion. But it's airplanes mostly, and it generally has to do with how many engines it has.
Really?
Yep.
So its cost is the cost is against the
That
engines.
was built into the F-16 program. They understood that there was going to be a certain amount of attrition just based on losing jets because it's got one engine, and when the engine quits, it doesn't come back.
Right, and
Unless
a lot of this stuff is not aerodynamic, is it? A lot of these jets are controlled by computers.
The
to
Viper's
actually
not
stay in
bad.
the air,
I mean, the Viper
aren't
has a decent glide ratio. Clean,
Oh, does it?
clean.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're hanging a lot
Clean.
of stuff hanging off of it,
Yeah.
it'll go okay. So yeah, you can, if you're close to a runway, then you can, what do they call it? They call it an SFO when it's simulated, but an FO, flame out pattern.
Flame
You know,
out,
a profile they will fly in order to be able to land without an engine running.
Right.
But you've already got to be pretty close to make this happen.
Do you
obviously.
train for that? Do you train?
Vipers do.
Yeah, yeah.
And we do single engine approaches. So we train for losing one.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now we don't shut it down,
No.
and this is typical pilot training. Whatever airplane you're in, you're going to train for engine out situations, whether it's 1 or 2 or 4. There'll be various ways to train, but in the Eagle, they'd pull one engine back.
Right.
The instructor would. They'd be in the back seat.
Yeah.
We'd fly D models.
Because you've got dual throttle control, so you can knock.
Well,
the
each
throttle down
each
on
one has each one has its own throttle.
Right.
So you pull,
Yeah.
and you wanted them to. Generally, guys were cool. They'd pull the left one back unless you were a B courser or something or trying to jack with you, because the right one has the comm on it in most of the important switches. The
Right,
left one
okay.
is not as important with switches, and the comm one's the big one for in the pattern. Because if they pull the right one back, then you're jockeying with the left one. When you need to make a radio call, you got to take your hand off, go to the right one, make the call.
Oh, okay, all right. So it makes it.
So generally, it was always the left one back, and then you'd have the right one to. And there's a fairly significant difference. Fairly significant. There's a difference between an engine in idle and a completely dead engine. There'll be a
Right,
little
okay.
bit more drag, I think, with the completely dead engine. It'll still be windmilling, but there's even in idle, there's a tiny fraction of thrust coming out.
A little
But
bit
still,
of thrust. But here's a question then: what? I don't know. It might sound a naive question, but what kills an engine then?
bird,
No fuel?
oil, starvation,
Oh, okay. All right. So
fan
various-
blade.
various things.
Fan
Yeah.
blade liberates itself and eats the rest of the engine with it.
Jeepers.
Fuel starvation of some kind,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
What you ran out, or it stopped working, or there's a leak, or what else?
So
what
here's-
else?
Here's
Stump.
a question. Here's a question that's not turbine blade fracture and so on. Right. Here's a question then that if it's not a ComSec, then please answer. If not, don't say nothing. Is each engine fed with its own separate fuel system from a separate fuel tank in each wing?
Yes, they each have a feed. They each have a feed tank.
So
Yeah.
if one side goes, it's not going to affect the other,
Theoretically, yes.
theoretically.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And it just depends on the airplane design. That's a primary consideration. Then, if you have a combat aircraft, they try to have some kind of redundancy in a lot of these things.
Sure.
Most of it's done by computers these days. Obviously, the
Yeah.
weight and balance is important. So where the fuel is and where it gets used first is a consideration.
Yeah.
Because you can't. It'd be really nice if you could put a ball of fuel right at the center of gravity, but that's not really
Yeah,
how
yeah.
it works.
No, of course not, because you
Yeah.
don't have enough room, do you?
Yeah.
Do you combat operations? Because this is the other thing that the RAF. I've talked with RAF people. In a combat situation, you don't always go fully fueled, do you? It's dependent on if you need to be in fast and back fast, but it's a limited operation, they go with not full fuel because it
I don't think you would
makes
do
the aircraft
that.
lighter.
I don't think you would do that with a
that?
fighter necessarily.
Okay.
I can't think of a reason. I suppose there's a real specialized possibility. I don't know. Maybe that's a consideration for helicopters or heavies who are carrying stuff and they need to have a weight and balance issues or
Weight balance.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or just carrying capacity because you'll be lighter because you have less cargo or you have more cargo and less fuel. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
for fighters, you generally didn't take off with less than a full load.
Full tank. Okay.
All the weight and balance is kind of standard for fighters. Theoretically, you're supposed to do that every sortie. But
Yeah, that's logical, isn't it? The aircraft is designed to fly with a full load, be
Sure.
as efficient as if it was with half a load or whatever. But yeah, I know, I get it.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and it's all the numbers are calculated because it's all standard. You know what a 3-bag Eagle with certain PTMs and whatever's on it. You know what its weight and balance is. It's all been done and it's all been flown and tested so that you know what configurations are already fine and you would do that. So if you start flying with less fuel and tanks and things, now you're messing with that just a little bit.
That's an SOP failure, then,
Yeah.
isn't it? I guess if you do stuff like that. Because Johnny's saying the Navy do it. That's one of the things that would cross my mind is the Navy do it to get off the deck. Once they're
There you
airborne,
go.
they fuel up on a tanker.
There you go.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
didn't know. That makes sense to me. Yep. There you go. Experiment. I have the survival suite and the mobility improvement equipment. Oh, he's talking about tanks. Oh, you're talking about the new F-15, the X, the EX? Yeah. Yeah, the EX is the new. Boeing's been creating new Eagles for a long time and selling them to all kinds of different people. And it's, the Saudi version, the EX, the not Kuwaiti, the Qatari or whatever. What does Obrut say? Qatar? Yeah, the Qatar version. Lots of different versions of it. And they've always got all the newest and latest. In the Air Force, the last Eagle they bought was an E model.
Yeah, see, in the UK, we buy off you the specialised UK version that's made out of cardboard. Cheap
Yeah.
as chips.
It is interesting that you guys never bought an Eagle, but you've been doing you did the Tornado and then you did the, whatever the other one is. What's the new one called?
Typhoon now.
Typhoon
we've got the
now.
Typhoon now. Yeah, the Typhoon, I mean, I think that's our first fly-by-wire, to be honest, the Typhoon.
It's based off the export model, GA. What it might have more than the Qatar version is I don't know. Even if I did, I wouldn't say, but I actually don't, so it's easy.
Yeah.
There generally there's when we build our own stuff, we put our own stuff on it that we don't
Yeah.
send out. So
Don't sell it to other people.
yeah,
No, absolutely.
but it
So-
is
so-
definitely a base model of that very capable cutter version.
It's an airframe that you sell. It's not the contents, isn't it? Really.
Sometimes
Yeah,
it just depends,
yeah.
man. It really does. I mean,
Yeah.
you can, like countries will sell the jet and the radar, but they won't sell all the stuff with the radar or all the software with the radar or all the capabilities or whatever, or some other doodad that does something else, along the way. It just export models generally have something less than the country that made the airplane that's operating the
Yeah,
airplane. That just
absolutely.
makes sense.
That it makes sense, yeah, doesn't it? Right, come back to your stories then.
Yeah, that's right on,
What
Doug.
was your, what was the? How dare you? No, this is coffee talk. It's
Yeah.
not tank talk.
Eagle.
What was the very first aircraft you flew then?
A
a pilot, as a
Cessna 152, actually.
Single engine.
Yeah, just a little prop Cessna,
Wow.
little
And
high wing.
was that civilian or was it
Yeah.
military?
My
Right.
so the Air Force, when they're getting ready to hire a pilot or to make a pilot, they want you to go through some kind of screen. There's a screening program then of some kind. But so it's either you have these rules change. So I'm just going to throw out what it was when I was there, and it's more or less similar now. But you either have your private pilot's license, so that's one way to do it, or you go through one of their programs, which is sometimes a summer program for ROTC guys, where you fly 12 hours or 15. You solo basically and prove you can do a flying program. You're not going to throw up or hate it and not want to do it, whatever.
Yeah, or can't see because you're wearing.
Yeah. Or at the academy, there's several flying programs that do the same thing. When I went through, you either had your private pilot's license done, or you went through what was called Ladder, which was light aircraft training in Hondo, Texas. And they flew, I think they were flying 172s back in the day. It's a different airplane now. It's a higher speed, better airplane now. So I went through and got my PPL paid for by the Air Force, which was a cool program that they kind of
that's
brought
cool.
back every now and again. And I just happened to be there when they brought it back. And you had to put in for it, and I scored well enough, was doing well enough at my ROTC detachment that I got chosen. 2 or 3 of us got chosen to do the Part 141 program at Salt Lake International. So I went down there, and I got my privates paid for by the government, and that was my screening program. If I passed it and got my license, then good to go. You can go to pilot training.
Was this after college? You were
During,
still in
I did
college?
that during college, yeah.
You did it during college.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Which was okay because it was my last year, and because I stuffed a 4-year program into 5 years. Yeah,
That's pilgrinomics.
I was a little
4-year
aimless.
program into 5
I was a
years.
little aimless. My last year was very light in college classes, so I had a lot of extra time.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were a bad lad.
Well, I was mostly
Third year, you
fulfilling.
were
I
doing this.
was mostly just fulfilling my last year of ROTC, even though I was more or less graduated. I had 2 or 3 classes left to take. So I sort of, when I saw that coming and started joining ROTC and figuring it out, I sort of throttled back on because I knew what the timing was going to be, and it worked out well because once I got that screening program PPL thing, that came about the same time I knew I was going to have a light schedule. I'm like, well, that's going to be perfect,
Yeah. That gives you time to focus, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that was cool.
So okay. So leading on from that, then your first aircraft was the Cessna. What made you want to go into fighter jets instead of buses like Loblo? Because he went into a bus, didn't he? He was
All
flying
right, so
Boeing
that's a good question. There's lots of ways that happens. I think there are the guys who go through their whole life as a kid and like, ooh, I want to be a fighter pilot, and that's their dream, and that's where they're going, and like they know that. I thought fighters were cool. I liked watching them fly around Hill Air Force Base when I was a kid. F-105s, F4s, and then F-16s came in after
The old
that.
Phantoms, F4s.
The old Phantoms. There were still thuds there when I was a kid.
Wow.
Yeah, there was one reserve unit or guard unit that was still flying thuds, and those were awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah.
They went away pretty quickly and got replaced. I think that unit went to F-16s. But so there's that, and then there's kind of like me, which I wasn't so sure. And honestly, my goal through the whole thing was I wanted to get my wings.
Sure.
I wasn't worried necessarily what I was going to fly. I didn't know if I'd be good enough or whatever. I don't know. I'd never flown an airplane. I don't know what a fighter's like. I know nothing about it. So I just kept going. You just keep going, man, right? You just go to the next thing. Like, all right, let's see if I can get my private pilot's license. Shit, this seems kind of difficult. And I'm like, it's not that hard. Yeah, it's challenging, and you got to pay attention and do your studies and stuff. And you got to have good hand-eye coordination and do your pilot shit and all that stuff. So that worked out. And then I got my pilot slot. And then there was a delay. That was a whole issue. But with the whole downsizing of the Air Force after the wall fell. But eventually when I got back and I went to the pilot training, same goal. Now I'm at actual pilot training. Like, well, the goal is get the wings. This is a hard program. It's a year long. I don't know where I'm going to rack and stack.
Yeah.
And the guys who get fighters are typically the guys at the top of the class.
Yeah.
So that's what happens essentially at pilot training.
Right.
They're,
so fighter pilots are really the top 10% or something like that.
Right. Definitely the top.
Okay.
Your class will be
Yeah.
30 guys. It kind of depends on the era. 20 to 30 guys in a class, depending on how many they're pushing through. I don't know what they are now. Maybe they're smaller, bigger, but that sounds about right. If anyone has more current information, they can chuck it out there. But we had about 30, I would say. And you would get, and again, it depends on the era, but we didn't have very many actual fighters because there were still banking guys, which means they were getting a fighter later.
Yeah.
That was just starting to end when I got through pilot training. So there's so many what ifs here. Also, my class was SUPT, a new kind of UPT, where we actually split halfway through, and the guys who were going to fly heavies went off and flew what was called the T1, which was like a Learjet kind of thing, business jet kind of idea.
Yeah.
More applicable to flying heavies, and only 4 of us out of my class went to T-38s.
Wow.
And that's the fighter bomber track. We were all either going to be a fighter or bomber pilot. In my class, the 4 of us, you get a drop, and then all the pilot training classes from the other bases, I think there were 3 at the time, because you didn't compete with the Euro NATO thing. That's a whole other subject.
Yeah.
So there were enough fighters and bombers I think there were 12 of us, 4 at each base, basically.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And so there were 12 aircraft in the drop, and 16s, 15s, A-10s, and B-1s. There might even, I think there was even a B-52 or 2 in it as well.
No way, dude.
Yeah. And to some extent, then it's your class ranking. And at that time, again, this changes, but at that time, you picked. Like, if you were the number 1 guy, you picked from those jets and you said, that's the one. Which is applicable to your question, because sometimes, even though they're the top, a guy might go, I want to be one for whatever reason.
Okay. And he was allowed to do that?
Yeah. Not very.
So
No.
You're going to be Top Gun, mate. You need to go on the Eagles or whatever.
If they give you a choice, you have a choice. But it has vacillated because it's actually been at points where the instructors and the leadership decides for you. Yes, you're ranked, but then they they tell you have that. So the Air Force goes back and forth on this shit all the time. I don't know where it sits right now, to be quite honest. But in my case, the other problem or another issue there is when you have 3 bases, they rotate which bases first, second, and third. So we were second, I believe.
Yeah.
So that put me picking. I was second in the class. So he picked second, and I third, 5th, I think, overall. So if that's right, something like that. I picked 5th.
Yeah.
The guy ahead of me in my class, he wanted to fly Vipers.
Right.
So he took a Viper, which made me very happy. Because I was going to take looking at the list and the possibility of what could be gone, the 4 jets that could be gone before I got there, most likely I was either going to get one of my 2 choices, either an Eagle or an A-10.
I mean, A-10, but...
I was going to pick an Eagle, and if the Eagles were gone, I was going to pick an A-10.
Pick the A-10. I think for whatever reason, you were putting you epitomised to me what an Eagle pilot is. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you sort of grow into it.
You've been through that.
I think you sort of grow into that a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, would I have said that 25, 30 years ago when I first met you, or if I met you then? Maybe not. But right now, you're a no-nonsense. An Eagle pilot or a fighter pilot to me has to be smart. This is not blowing smoke up your arse, by the way. Smart, intelligent, and no nonsense sort of guy. You know, there's no BS going on here. You know what I mean?
Sometimes people like me sneak through, though. That's the good deal. But seriously,
A humble guy.
when I say F-15 and then A-10, that goes back to my not knowing jack squat. Even though I'd gone through pilot training and we'd
Big
had
difference, though, isn't it?
well, we'd had guys come down. We'd seen jets, and they'd come down and talk about their jet because they do that towards the end of the program. They'll bring different MWSs down, different people fly different jets, and they'll talk to you about their job and what they do. And I still didn't know jack shit because I think Stump's right. If I'd have really known what I was talking about, I'd have been F-15, F-16, A-10. Not that the A-10 isn't awesome. I didn't know shit from shit. I didn't
Because
know
you
nothing.
don't at that age, you don't, do you? You know, you're not being involved.
And I was prioritizing one mission. I'm like, I'm either going to be fully air-to-air guy or I'm going to be fully air-to-ground guy.
Sure.
There was no intelligence really behind that thought. There was as much as I could manage at the time based on my knowledge of stuff, which was about nothing, you know?
Yeah. But it's a feeling that, to be honest, it's a career that, you know, you at that age, you look at it and go, yeah, I want to do that. And how it pans out, it could be totally different, but you go, yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah,
you know, that's what I want to do.
But so I just found myself at the end of all that whole road. When I got to choose, there was a F-15C left, and I'm like, I will take
Happy
that.
days. Yeah.
And it wasn't until then that I really knew that. I mean, I knew when I went to 38s, I'm in the fighter bomber track. I'm like, shit hot. I have a pretty good chance of getting a fighter now. And then I'm 2 out of 4. I'm like, that's good. You know, second in my whole class, 2 out of 4 of the fighter bomber guys. That's awesome. And when I got to pick the F-15C, I'm like, all right, well, I guess, you know. But, you know, at the time, you're like, well, shit, now I have to pass that course.
Yeah,
right?
Of course, yeah, because it's a whole new training.
And not even that. There's another course in between called... There's another course called IFF, Introduction to Fighter Fundamentals. There you go fly a T-38 with a HUD and some other modifications as kind of in a mini fighter course to learn basic BFM. I still had to go fly those and pass that course. Then I had to go to the F-15 RTU and pass that course. So it's not like you go, ooh, I'm now an F-15C fighter pilot. You're not that until you finish. Your mission
through the whole thing
to your mission qual at your base, and then you're just a wingman. And then I got to be a flight lead, and then I need to be a 4-ship flight lead, and then I need to be a mission commander, and then I need to be an instructor, and then there's FTU instructor, and then if you really want to go for it, then you're going to be a WIC instructor. I mean, it never. And then there's I'm going to be an evaluator, and then maybe I'm going to go be some guys go be test pilots, or maybe I'm going to be.
Well, that was the other question I was going to fire at you is that. Like in the British military, for example, in the army, you've got the war fighters and then you've got support. So and in the RAF, you've got like you guys, the fighter pilots, the fighter bombers, in multi-role aircraft, and then you've got the support aircraft, if you like, Charlie 130 and all the rest of it. In civilian street, it would make sense to go down the support level of the military. Because it gives you a job when you leave. You can go and fly the Airbus 1000 or whatever it might be for Boeing or whatever it is.
So that is a huge yes. First of all, Stump, correct. There were many opportunities to cull me from the herd, and they failed at every turn, 100%. Yeah. See, that is a discussion, Pilgrim, fraught with danger, and Stump knows exactly what I'm talking about. Theoretically, yes, you go fly heavies in the Air Force. That is a more directly applicable skill set, working with a crew and flying a multi-engine large aircraft to flying airlines or FedEx aircraft or whatever it is, heavy aircraft you're going to fly.
Yeah.
Howsoever, there is also the fact that generally, and I'm making generalizations, the guys flying fighters are probably the better pilots. And this is going to piss people off, and that's fine.
Contention.
Generally better pilots. And one of the things about it, there's so many things about it. One of the most interesting things about it is the mindset of the fighter pilot, especially in a single seat. and to a large extent for the 2-seat stuff because it's a Wizzo that's in the back seat. But you're it, dude.
Yeah.
You're it.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
There's no backup. I mean, we fight as a team. We fly and fight as a team. We have a wingman generally every time we go somewhere, and that's good. It's nice to have that backup. You saw Stump tell me my stupid flaps are down. That that's good.
Yeah.
But there's no other than that kind of stuff. That you're it. If you're gonna take off and fly and live and land, it's on you, bro.
It's you. Yeah.
Yeah. You. So that's a mindset. You have to internalize that if you're going to fly those things, especially if you're going to fly them into harm's way.
Yeah.
And understand that mindset taken to other airplanes can be extremely powerful. And it's good.
Yeah, that's big focus, isn't it? That's massive focus.
It can be negative if you fail to learn how to work with a team with your crew. But
Okay.
I don't think
Alright.
you hear horror stories about that, about the fighter guy and the airliner who won't let the code do anything. I don't know if that really exists anymore because we really do talk a lot about crew management and crew resource
Yeah.
management and stuff like that. But you've
Yeah.
already got a guy who is confident and skilled enough that if something happens, he's never going to just immediately rely on somebody else or
Okay.
give up the boat, right? He's never going to.
Yeah.
He's always, generally, he or she is always going to be, let's solve this and get there. And I think O'Brutes has way more, especially in terms of flying. Yeah, especially in terms of flying with the airline guides now.
Yeah.
So you just have kind of a different mindset. And that's not to say that the guys flying heavies aren't great dudes or that they're not good pilots. I'm obviously going to be, skewed towards the fighter pilot side. But
I would expect it so.
all else being equal, if you have an issue, all else being equal, if you're in an airline and they're having a problem up front, you're gonna want to have the fighter pilot up there. I'm saying all else being equal, same experience, same knowledge, same whatever. I just feel that way. If it's not true, then
Well, it would be odd if you didn't feel that way. To be honest, I mean, I'm coming at it from a very different perspective. I'm not going to try and drag this out because I know things need to move on. But when I joined the military technically as a warfighter. The infantry are boots on the ground warfighters. So you close with the enemy. Simple as that. Everything else behind you gets you to that point. So all the support services, everything else gets you to that point. How you then take that into Civvy Street, apart from the mindset that you get from being that person, which is an incredible mindset. You know, it's fortitude, it's discipline, it's all those good things. But as an actual skill set, I used to say to myself before I left the military, how am I going to transfer this into civilian? How am I going to go to a civilian employer and say, guess what, buddy? I can fix bayonets and close with the enemy. Now give me a job. You just can't transfer that particular skill across, can you?
Yeah, but it does. I think it does apply to a lot of stuff. Obviously, you're not going to fix bayonets and take them out, but just the mindset of get her done, I think, is important.
Yeah.
Bruce, I hope that grade sheet said something like "no issues noted, press." I hope that's more or less what that grade sheet said.
Of course it did.
Yeah. Debriefed. No issues noted. Debriefed. Press.
You'll do.
Mission flow in accordance with the syllabus. Three BFM setups. No issues noted. Press. Hopefully that's what it said. Oh man. What else, man? I think that's it.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Let's see, we got a story out of you.
Hello,
didn't we?
Cupid.
We knew you flew a Cessna. Well done,
That's
you,
right.
sir.
Actually, what's funny is the second airplane I flew in the Air Force was a Cessna as well, but it happened to be a T-30. The T-37 was a Cessna product. The flying dog whistle, they called it.
Ah, dear.
Had a turbine engine that whistled really, had a high pitched.
Oh,
Actually, had two of them.
Be...
You had two of them.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Did you wear? I mean, you had headphones on, didn't you?
Yeah, but it was. That airplane was freaking amazing, man. I can't describe. I think Stump will agree with me here. Maybe he has a different explanation of it, but he can start typing it in as he hears me. The smell of the T-37 by the time I got to it in 1994, 95 time frame, that thing had been flying since the 60s. those airplanes, I don't know how many hours they had on them, but those airplanes had trained every Air Force military pilot for 40 years.
They should have one in a museum somewhere, surely.
You know, 30 years,
that.
30, at least 30,
Yeah.
some of them, maybe 40, getting on to
Yeah.
40. So that is 30 years, let's just call it that, of the
Yeah.
combined sweat, tears, blood, puke,
Yeah.
probably some piss and poop.
Yeah.
Uh, they had a smell in them that was not quite right. Like it wasn't.
Slightly rotten.
It was, and it wasn't putrid rotten, but it was just the combined funk of aviation, of training aviation, of 30
Sure,
years.
sure.
It was something else. And then you add on top the JP8 and the you know, all the oil and hydro
Fuel
smells.
and oils and everything else.
And then you're out there
Yeah.
on the hot tarmac in Laughlin Air Force Base at, you know, 100 degrees in the summer. And you got all your stuff on, you're nervous anyway. And the
Yeah.
instructor's yelling at you, and you got a helmet on. There's no AC. There's no AC.
No.
You're just baking.
No.
Dude.
Yeah. Now it's luxury. Kids have got luxury these
Oh,
days.
yeah, they just turn the AC on. It's all nice. And they're T6s. Little turbo props.
Yeah. Burning jet fuel the day he broke at pilot training. Purely magical. They said they cranked up the snap there. So nice. Yeah.
Yeah, the
These
pilot
are,
train.
these are, yeah, I mean, you know, there's certain, and I'm a great believer in, there's certain smells that trigger memories.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can
Oh, yeah.
come across with it, go, oof, and it flashes you, you know?
JP8 burning every time I go, and especially if it's a busy fighter ramp, when you start to hear the JFSs going off or the Huffers, if you've got to start the jet with that or however they start, you hear the whine, then you hear the jets starting and all the movement.
Wow.
You know, at the pilot training bases, it was just a sea of T-38s and 37s, and that first go, everyone's walking out to the jets, and about midday, it's just everything coming, going. Guys in the pattern, airplanes taxiing, absolute
Fantastic, isn't it?
controlled
Fantastic.
chaos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Man, Obert, I will never forget it. Getting in that thing the first time, I'm like, God dang, dude, this thing smells like aviation. It smells like 1,000
Smells
years.
of history. It's history.
1,000 years of aviation. There you go, Andy the Cupid. He's got his smell is drilling
Yeah.
mud. There you go. On the on a rig, is that what you're talking about? Yeah, Major Tom. It was good. It was good. It was a lot of fun. All right, guys, we've kept you long enough. It's time for everyone to get back to their Sunday and do something respectable. Riggs, right on, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Raffles empty.
No raffle,
Raffle
my
off some
friend.
jet fuel.
All right, let's go raid somebody, man. Let's find out who we got out there. Oh, Goose is up. Let's go raid Goose. Wait, is he early or late? What's going on with him?
He's either an all-nighter or he started early, isn't he?
All right, guys. I appreciate the follows and the whatnot. We actually just got one from my BMW and Bonzi. I appreciate that from both you guys. Wayne as well. I probably missed. Maybe that might have been yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before. But much appreciated. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. I do plan on streaming tomorrow. I think we'll see what happens. It's always an open question. Yes, thank you. Thanks.
Oh, Brute, yeah, thank you.
Just had to throw that last grenade off. All right, Squeedo signing off from the left side Atlantic.
Pilgrim signing off from the correct side of the Atlantic.
See you guys.